Well, that's what I was raised up on, but it may be where the way things going, that's what we're going to have to eat off of, what we grow.
So many of our, quote, illnesses, food-related and diet-related, what we eat is becoming pretty important because we can't afford to treat the bad eating habits we've developed through chemistry and after we've infected ourselves with type 2 diabetes, coronary disease, or obesity. How we educate people who over 3 generations or so have gotten away from maybe what's good for them. It's got to happen in places like markets where we celebrate food and maybe enter this little larger discussion about why the personal choices we make and what we eat are pretty important.
My name is Kafele Gray, and I am 9 years old. I like the garden because we pick our vegetables in there and cook them, and they taste really good because we grown our own vegetables, not somebody else's vegetables.
The youth programming is pretty informal. It's focused on healthy lifestyles, if you will, of good eating habits as well as a lot of it. And so both in terms of a relationship to the food they grow so that they're more likely to eat it because they grow it themselves, and then having them cook it so they're more likely to eat it because they cooked it, and also creating sort of those self-sufficiency skills.
My name is Jordan, and I like the garden because I get to meet new people. It's the best camp in the world.
They're going to be coming to where the blossoms are. Okay, Markel and Monday, you guys need to go pick up all the stuff that you were using to plant your broccoli, and then we're going to go. You're going to have
Potatoes. I want to eat them. Can I have some? Come on, potatoes. Let's hurry up and do it. Don't wet me, please. Okay. Why are you just doing it in the well? I just hot. Hey, do you want me to splash them on you? Soak it. My name is Macy, and I'm 7 years old, and I like the garden because the strawberries are good, and the tomatoes are always very juicy.
Have you guys ever gotten corn off of the cob before?
Yeah.
So, Mikhail, you might be a good person to lead this activity. So, why? Because you've done it before, right? Yay!
Hi, my name is Mikhail, and I like the garden because of the strawberries, and we get to harvest stuff, and I'm 10.
Help get the corn off the cob, please.
She's the taster.
Well, if enough people do it, it's going to get done.
Okay. She is the taster.
You know, even though this is...
My name is Katie. I'm 7 years old, and I like the garden because we eat all the veggies and fruits that we have there. And I like the tomatoes a lot, and the peas that they have there, and the strawberries.
Okay, Katie, when you're done with your tomatoes, throw them in the bowl.
This bowl?
Yeah, all the veggies are going in there. Except
My name is Noelle. I'm 7 years old, and I like the garden because the food tastes good, and you get to pick it and eat it.
You got to recall, most of the people left the South. They came here to work in factories. Labels were plentiful. The marketplace had plenty of things to offer. And when I first started gardening, people would call me countrified. In other words, we were spoiled. We got away from nature.
afternoon for this food we're about to receive for nourishing our body. Let us all say together, amen. 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 Yeah, okay, come on, guys. Get this right. Come on, get that right.
As an organization, we really felt like we didn't want to make assumptions about what people in this community needed, that tends to be the way a lot of nonprofits function. Is they say, oh, this is what people need, we will give it to them. We had some really interesting conversations. I think the most sort of threatening to people was when we asked, what would it take to close the doors of this soup kitchen? And folks were like, what? Why would you want to close the soup kitchen? And we're like, well, because we don't want to have the need for the soup kitchen, essentially. And I think folks were like, but this serves as a community space, and there's individuals who can't feed themselves because they're mentally ill or they can't prepare their own food. Like, you know what? We're not suggesting that these folks will not need to be fed, but what we're asking is, how do we close the doors of the soup kitchen so it functions as it does now? Somebody asked me today on the phone whether or not I was happy I moved to Detroit or not. And I think it has been the most transformative experience of my life, essentially.
But the rewarding thing about agricultural work is that typically, if you plant something, it's going to grow, it's productive, it doesn't require a lot of discussion, it doesn't require votes, and you kind of get out of it what you put into it.
I actually have a tile from Pewabic Pottery now in my bathroom that says, "Life in Detroit is worth living."
Ooh, that's a flag on my head.